At the dawn of a grey day, in the narrow and bustling streets of Genoa, during the turbulent centuries when fear and hope intertwined, a timid light began to shine. It was the beginning of an extraordinary journey, where faith and love for God proved to be the most powerful weapons to face the challenges of the world. Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli, a soul destined to leave a mark on the history of spirituality, saw her life announce, even from childhood, that nothing would be like the ordinary and predictable days of other mortals. Born into a noble family, but surrounded by trials, Virginia was recognized early on for her candor and sensitivity. While her companions played innocently in the city squares, she already exhibited an unusual curiosity, questioning the mysteries of existence and seeking comfort in prayer. In her small alcove, where windows were scarce and the light seemed faint, she found refuge in the company of an old crucifix hanging on the wall, a silent symbol of hope amid adversity. The environment that shaped Virginia's life was one of intense contrasts. Once prosperous and gleaming with its magnificent buildings and stone-paved streets, Genoa was also a stage for conflicts and intrigues. The power of the Republic's rulers divided the city, and wealth coexisted with poverty, creating a setting where hearts could either harden or open to compassion. In this land of extremes, young Virginia seemed to carry a divine spark, an intuition that would lead her down paths filled with faith, courage, and unconditional love for God. From an early age, while many were still struggling to grasp the mysteries of the world, Virginia displayed a unique spiritual maturity. Gradually, the words of the Gospels and the prayers echoing in her mind formed a silent yet powerful melody, making her feel the presence of the divine even amid the hardships and sacrifices of daily life. This spiritual connection, almost tangible, enveloped her in a mantle of serenity that contrasted with the turmoil around her. To those who knew her, the little girl possessed something extraordinary, a light that did not fade, even when dark clouds threatened the sky. In every prayer, in every act of kindness, Virginia seemed to be guided by invisible hands, leading her to face challenges with a determination that surpassed human understanding. Her destiny, though marked by difficulties, was one of transformation. The young girl who once prayed modestly would soon become a spiritual leader, a beacon of hope for the afflicted. Virginia's childhood was marked by moments of tenderness and trial. Growing up under the watchful eyes of a noble family, she lived among the traditions and customs that shaped the society of her time. However, the family environment, filled with expectations and obligations, also imposed challenges that tested her faith. When the loss of her mother left a void that only devotion to God could fill, Virginia found in prayer an inexhaustible source of strength. In the solitude of her thoughts and the silent prayers that flowed from her heart, the young girl discovered that even in the face of pain and uncertainty, faith had the power to transform suffering into a path of redemption. The narrative of her youth was not solely composed of moments of introspection, but also of decisive encounters that shaped her journey. One afternoon, as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of red, Virginia had a vision of a serene and radiant figure whispering words of hope. This episode, which few would dare to comprehend, became the turning point in her life, for from that moment on, the young girl knew that her mission was far greater than the limits imposed by her social status. It was a divine calling to dedicate herself to serving the needy, to shelter the forsaken, and to guide lost souls toward the light of salvation. As the city of Genoa braced itself for conflicts and invasions, Virginia's courage flourished. Her heart, driven by a faith that transcended human understanding, beat with intensity at every challenge she faced. It was as if God himself, in his infinite wisdom, had chosen this young girl to be the bearer of a message of love and hope. And so, the girl who had always stood apart began to walk a path where every step bore witness to the spiritual strength that dwelled within her. The introduction to Virginia's life, with its interplay of light and shadow, foreshadowed the emergence of a figure who, over the years, would transform the religious and social landscape of her time. Her story, marked by pivotal moments intertwined with those of other saints and martyrs, weaving a tapestry of faith, courage, and sacrifice that would resonate for generations. In a city engulfed in conflict and uncertainty, she became a symbol of resilience and compassion, capable of soothing the most troubled hearts and inspiring those in search of salvation. Every word, every gesture, and every tear shed by young Virginia echoed like a hymn of devotion, heralding the dawn of a new era, one in which faith would become the driving force to transform lives and overcome the trials of existence. And so, the stage was set for the life of Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli to unfold in all its grandeur, revealing a destiny that transcended earthly limits and connected directly with the divine. It was in this context, amid oppression, conflict, and the relentless pursuit of light, that Virginia's story began to be written with letters of courage and determination. Her journey, marked by moments of profound emotion and decisions that would alter the course of her life and many others, was a testament to the power of faith to illuminate even the darkest paths and transform the world. Thus, the narrative begins, inviting the reader to follow each step of this journey of sacrifice, love, and above all, a faith that transcends time and adversity. Virginia grew up amidst the traditions of a noble family and the strict discipline of an education that, while valuing culture and the arts, barely grasped the depth of spirituality. Gradually, she discovered that the true treasure lay in complete devotion to God. In her adolescence, while her peers indulged in fleeting pleasures, she sought refuge in prayer and the study of the Holy Scriptures. This period was marked by inner turmoil and the pressure of a father determined to marry her off to a wealthy man, envisioning political and financial alliances. Despite the impositions, Virginia felt an inner calling that made her resist worldly plans. Amid silent tears and fervent prayers, she found the strength to affirm her identity and divine mission. When her father announced the arranged marriage, her heart tightened, but she knew, with a conviction that seemed to come from heaven itself, that this was not her path. In that moment of deep despair, she knelt before the crucifix, pleading with God to show her a different way, a path of service, sacrifice, and love for others. Fate, however, was swift to respond. The marriage took place, but life with a distant husband, absorbed in festivities and gambling, only highlighted the contrast between the life imposed upon her and the one she longed for. Tragedy soon struck when, after a few years, her husband fell ill and passed away suddenly, leaving Virginia a widow with 2 young daughters. What could have shattered her instead strengthened her faith even more. Pain became fuel for action, and the young widow decided to dedicate her life to those who suffered, welcoming abandoned children and women in need. Without the support of a family that understood her calling, Virginia found, in the silence of prayer and the depth of her faith, the courage to break free from the ties that bound her to a predetermined fate. As a symbol of renouncing the material world, she cut her hair and dressed in simplicity. She embarked on a mission that would transform not only her own life, but also that of an entire community. Little by little, her home became a refuge for the afflicted. Women and children arrived at her door, seeking shelter, comfort, and spiritual guidance. This was the beginning of a true revolution of love, where each act of compassion multiplied, spreading divine light through the shadows of the city. Over time, Virginia came to be seen not only as a woman of great sensitivity, but as a spiritual leader, capable of touching hearts and changing destinies. Her devotion was so profound that, even in the face of adversity, she could see beyond immediate struggles and envision a future where God's love was the only true remedy for the world's suffering. Slowly, the young widow founded a congregation that welcomed not only those in need, but also those who wished to dedicate themselves to spiritual life and service to others. The transformation Virginia sought went beyond simple acts of charity. It was a complete renewal, a reform of the spirit and the heart. She organized prayers, taught the scriptures, and with an almost supernatural patience guided each person who came to her toward their own path to redemption. In an era of wars and conflict, her home became an oasis of peace and faith, where prayer was the nourishment that sustained the souls of the desperate. Gradually, word of her kindness spread throughout Genoa and beyond. Men and women, young and old, sought her out for comfort, guidance, and above all, renewed hope. Each visit to that sacred home felt like a rebirth, where faith, courage, and love intertwined in an embrace that warmed even the coldest hearts. Virginia, always with a serene smile and eyes that seemed to understand the mysteries of the world, showed that true strength lay in complete surrender to God and in unconditional love for others. Despite the external challenges, wars, invasions, and crises that plagued the city, Virginia never wavered. Her mission to save souls and spread the divine light became her very purpose, and she faced every obstacle with the certainty that the Lord would never abandon her. This unwavering confidence, born of deep faith, was what made her a unique figure, a true martyr of love and hope. With the establishment of her refuge and the consolidation of her congregation, Virginia's life took on even more intense and dramatic contours. It was no longer just a personal quest for salvation, but a true crusade against the forces of desolation and sin that threatened the soul of Genoa. The city, devastated by conflicts and invasions, seemed to have lost its way, but Virginia's presence was like a beacon of hope in a starless night. In times of crisis, her leadership shone with singular strength. As enemy armies approached and turmoil spread through the city squares, Virginia did not hesitate to throw herself into the midst of the crowd to help the forsaken. With a heart full of compassion and eyes that reflected the light of the divine, she organized makeshift shelters, distributed food, and above all, brought comfort to those overcome by despair. Each act of kindness was a seed cast into the wind, destined to bloom and transform the barren and oppressive reality that had settled over the city. On a night when the sky seemed to weep in sorrow, Virginia's courage became even more evident. As the storm of enemies drew near, she gathered her spiritual daughters and, with a calm voice, called upon all to join in prayer. In that moment of profound emotion, she proclaimed with conviction and love that faith in God was the only weapon capable of turning pain into hope. Her followers, with tearful eyes and hearts ablaze with faith, found the strength to resist fear and face the calamity with a courage that seemed nothing short of miraculous. Virginia's journey, marked by sacrifices and moments of sublime revelation, was also punctuated by mystical experiences that brought her even closer to the divine. In long hours of prayer, she felt the presence of the Blessed Virgin Mary and her Lord himself, who imparted to her messages of light and consolation. In her moments of ecstatic devotion, the visions that filled her mind were so intense that those around her believed they had witnessed a miracle embodied in faith. These experiences not only reinforced her mission, but also served as inspiration for many who sought her congregation in search of answers to life's uncertainties. Yet not all paths were bathed in light. The environment in Genoa, rife with intrigue and self-serving interests, often placed Virginia in opposition to powerful figures who saw her faith as a threat to the established order. Attempts to silence her and discredit her work became constant challenges, testing the strength and determination of her selfless soul. Amid baseless accusations and veiled persecutions, Virginia remained steadfast, like a lion refusing to retreat in the face of adversity. Her response was never one of vengeance, but rather an unshakable faith that transformed hostility into opportunities to teach about forgiveness and divine love. In a particularly striking episode, when the shadows of doubt and despair threatened to engulf her followers, Virginia gathered everyone in a great assembly in the central square of Genoa. There, before an anxious crowd, she shared her visions and her feelings, revealing to all that even in the darkest moments, God was present, guiding their steps and offering each one the chance to be reborn in the light of faith. Her words, simple and direct, penetrated the hearts of those present, awakening in them a renewed hope and the certainty that, united in their love for God, they could overcome any obstacle. Every victory was celebrated with the same humility and gratitude, and every challenge faced became a new opportunity to demonstrate the transformative power of faith. Virginia knew that the true battle was not fought with weapons or military strategies, but with prayer, love, and tireless dedication to those in need. And so, day after day, she wrote a story of resilience, where pain was converted into light, and adversity became an invitation to spiritual transformation. In the later years of her life, Virginia was already recognized as a saint in her time. At 64, her body began to weaken, but her spirit remained as vibrant as ever at the height of her mission. Even as she endured the attacks of a cruel illness that forced her to battle daily against pain and feverish delusions, she never allowed suffering to extinguish the flame of faith that had burned within her throughout her journey. In her final moments, surrounded by her spiritual daughters and those who loved her unconditionally, Virginia remained steadfast in her conviction that her life had been a true sacrifice of love for God. In her bed, bound with leather straps to ease the spasms of fever, she murmured prayers and words of forgiveness, displaying a serenity that defied human understanding. Her last breaths were accompanied by an aura of peace, as if the Lord himself were gently welcoming her soul. When the final moment arrived, Virginia exhaled her last breath with a serene smile on her lips, as if to tell all that her journey, though ending on earth, would continue into eternity. Her burial, marked by solemn rituals and collective prayers, was only the beginning of a legacy that would transcend time. When her body was later exhumed and carefully preserved, it bore signs of the holiness that had always dwelled within her, a reminder that true faith never fades. Even decades later, the memory of Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli continued to inspire generations. Her words, her teachings, and above all, her courage in the face of suffering served as an example to those who sought the path of redemption. The congregation she had founded grew and spread, carrying her message of love and compassion to distant places, transforming pain into hope and adversity into an opportunity for rebirth. Today, her story is told not merely as a historical account, but as a living testimony to the power of faith and divine love. In every prayer, in every act of charity, Virginia's spirit manifests, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, God's light can transform reality and touch the hearts of men. At the twilight of existence, as the shadows of the world stretched long, the memory of Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli remained a beacon for all who sought truth and the comfort of faith. Her life, filled with moments of deep emotion, unimaginable challenges, and everyday miracles, became an eternal source of inspiration, inviting each person to rediscover the beauty of sincere and transformative devotion. Virginia's story teaches us that faith is not merely a fleeting feeling, but a profound commitment that demands courage, sacrifice, and unconditional love. She faced the adversities of her time, wars, persecutions, and intrigues with a serenity that defied human understanding, always trusting that through prayer and service to others, divine light would manifest. Thus, the life of Saint Virginia remains an invitation to each of us to embrace hope, cultivate charity, and above all, keep the flame of faith alive, even in the face of the greatest challenges. Her legacy transcends time and space, serving as an enduring example of how total surrender to God can transform not only an individual's life, but an entire community. One fascinating fact about Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli is the account that after her passing, her body was exhumed and found to be remarkably well preserved. This extraordinary occurrence amazed the faithful, as her body, still flexible with garments that remained intact, was seen as a sign of her deep spirituality and the divine grace that had accompanied her throughout her life. Additionally, traditions tell of her profound devotion to the Virgin Mary, which granted her mystical experiences, further reinforcing her role as a beacon of hope amid the adversities of her time. These episodes, rich in symbolism and mystery, continue to inspire and intrigue those who are drawn to her story, strengthening the belief that faith and divine love can transcend even the limits of earthly existence. Prayer. O Saint Virginia, Centurione Bracelli, model of faith, love, and courage, I humbly come to you seeking comfort and inspiration. You who remained steadfast in your devotion through adversity and offered your heart to God with unwavering trust, help me find the strength to face life's challenges and to cultivate a spirit of generosity and hope. Through your example of dedicated and sacrificial living, may I learn to love and serve others with the same purity and determination that defined your journey. Grant me the grace to feel the comforting presence of the Lord in every moment, and with unwavering faith, to walk the path of light and truth. Saint Virginia, intercede for me before the Most High, so that I may be an instrument of peace and kindness, bringing divine love to those around me. May your inspiration transform my heart and teach me to trust in God's plans, even in the darkest hours. With gratitude and hope, I place all my prayers in your hands, certain that through your intercession, the light of Christ will illuminate my path. Amen. The story of Saint Virginia Centurione Bracelli moves and inspires with her unwavering faith, her courage in the face of adversity, and her unconditional love for God and those in need. Her journey, marked by moments of profound sacrifice and divine light, shows that even the greatest challenges can be transformed into paths of hope and redemption. Thus, the life of this saint invites us all to reflect on the importance of faith and love for others in our own lives. May her example of dedication and perseverance serve as daily inspiration, guiding each heart toward the divine light. At the end of this story, Jornada dos Santos, Historias Sagradas asks you to subscribe, share this message, and leave a like, helping to spread the beauty of these stories that bring us closer to the divine. To engage with us, here's a question. How have you found the light of faith in times of difficulty? And especially for you, don't forget to watch the carefully selected video above, which shares even more details about the miracles and inspiration of Saint Virginia.